Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan Basha, the business doctor. Following our conversations with empowered women who woke up one day and consciously claimed, I am more than enough, I am worthy, I am empowered to grow. And along their empowering journey towards realizing their own potential and their quest for growth, they became a beacon of hope and guidance for others. May you also find your inner power to grow. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Empowered to Grow. This is your host, Hanan Basha. Today, I have another opportunity that has just presented itself one way or another. We met by coincidence online, and that is, again, why I keep advocating that online could be an amazing place for us. Fleur Choy is with me today, and she is a healer. She's specifically an energy healing. So she uses different energy healing modalities, such as sound and Reiki, and she helps people look inward and heal inward. And there's usually a physical aspect to it, and there's also a spiritual healing that comes along. Fleur, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad we can do that together. That's so exciting.
Me too. So I usually start with this question. When I sent you, when we were talking last time, and I said, Fleur, I have to get you on my podcast, and the podcast is Empowered to Grow. What does that term actually mean to you?
You know, it's very interesting because I love those two worlds together. And, what I see in my practice, the most limiting belief I see the most often, it's like a lack of self-worth.
Yes, true.
It's like, I'm not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I see, it's like people mostly need support and be empowered to kind of stretch, beyond what they know, beyond, the comfort.
That's true.
And to try, just like a plant, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like when you see a baby plant, this is so fragile, and slowly it grows and maybe gonna become a tree.
Yes.
So I feel we are a tree in being, in growing.
I love that. I use the analogy of seeds and trees all the time. So I love that you found also that very useful in how you're explaining it. I love this, but okay, so you've empowered yourself to grow in your own unique way. So why don't you share a little about your story with us, please?
Sure. Well, at the beginning, I didn't want to change.
Mm-hmm.
I was having, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. At the time, I was working corporate with the whole career thing. I thought I was having everything figured out, but inside, I was feeling quite sad, actually, a little bit empty, looking for something.
Yeah.
And I was having a lot of discomfort in my life with stress, anxiety, panic attack.
Yes.
I did 2 burnout before 30. So this is a lot of symptom of what I call the Western life.
Yeah.
Trust
me, it's not Western only. It's all around the world.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it seems like people look at it from far and they're like, ooh, I want that.
That's true.
Right. But it has a price.
Yes.
So, I always love holistic practices, and I received Reiki from a young age. I always loved that, but I never really realized that maybe I could learn it. Maybe I could expand, my own practice.
Yes.
And so it was kind of challenging in the everyday life to go to work. I was actually having physical symptoms of my body rejecting my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one day I just sat on the beach and I had a pep talk with myself.
Yeah.
And it was kind of okay, what don't you want to change?
Yeah.
and I found every excuse, that like I couldn't quit my job, like it was not possible. I had all those, like responsibilities and really I saw like a pattern there.
Yeah.
And, and the more I was kind of like, like probing myself and asking those questions, the more I was having like a rage, an anger toward my situation. And I felt very helpless. Like it was like a tough time, but like this strong and comfort situation pushed me to change.
Great.
So, like I start with different modality and I got some relief from it. And I was like, and what if I would learn Reiki? What if, I would start to have like a daily practice with myself? And so, like at the beginning, I can say that I wanted to keep my shit together.
We all strive to do that.
Right? And I didn't realize at the time, but like having, like a daily practice with yourself, whatever it is, it can be like have many, many forms because we're all different. So we cannot like have to find, what is good for us. But having like this practice, and for me, it's all about reconnecting with this part of myself that is sacred. You can call it the soul. Like there is many names there.
Whatever is at your core, then.
Exactly, like the real spark inside of us.
Yes.
And so it kind of like changed my life because I was having, like from this discomfort that I didn't know how to handle. I actually realized I was like, well, you're having a bit of a pity party here. You say you cannot change, but what if you would change? What if, like maybe you would start something? And at the time I was learning Reiki, practicing a lot on my friend. And from this practice, my friend brought other friend. And I just started to have like this mini practice, but that was like very beneficial for me to see, like open to my intuition, opening my voice, supporting people, and finding that like one way or another, I always done that, even as a kid. I was the kid you come to talk about your problem.
I love that. That's why we resonated so much, because everything you are saying were parallel, just parallel paths.
Yeah, and so it's your nature, it's something that you do. And, that's something that I've realized along the way. The gift that we have, it's not a gift for us. We always had it. It's super mundane. You're like, well, I'm doing this thing, nothing like crazy about it. Because for you, it's so natural.
That's true.
But like actually it can really change the life of people, and supporting people on their journey. Like that's something that's really make my heart beat.
I love that. And I think, as you said, it takes that moment of, whether it is a fundamental moment of existential pondering, like, what the hell am I doing here in this life? Or a moment of absolute helplessness and frustration, that you feel like you have no choice to change and stuff, that it kind of sparks in you that things like, okay, who am I? What do I want to do? What is my message? And how can I be of service, not only to myself, but to those around me? And then the awareness comes along, and accordingly you start realizing, hang on a second. And that's what I keep advocating for. We have a lot of power within us that we just have been possibly even conditioned not to consider, because, as you said, we have a life to aspire to. We have a checklist to aspire to. And sometimes those gifts for us in the here and now are not evident of how do they support me in a living, for example, or how can I utilize them to reach people, or who would actually think they need that. And as you said, when you first started, It's about self-worth. And it's about how we, one way or another, actually sometimes belittle ourselves and our gifts. It doesn't have to be a monumental gift. You don't need to be the next person to, I don't know, to find water on Mars and realize that this is another habitat. But as you said, even the smallest thing of being a source of comfort to those around you could be monumental to people who actually need you.
Absolutely. And, it's always a life in progress. Like it's always, like if I don't know who I am,
yes,
I'm still learning because I'm
That's
so many things.
Yes.
I can be many things, like the sky is the limit,
Yes.
And I think we have to kind of like practice imagination and see what's, really make us sing inside.
That's true. I love that. So from where you stand today, what would you, oh, hello. From where you stand today, what advice would you impart on your 19-year-old self?
Like I would be definitely gentler.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely gentler. I realized along the way that's like the self-talk,
Mm-hmm.
my voice inside talking to myself was not kind.
Yeah, that's true.
For a very long time, I pushed myself. And I can say that as a woman, I was quite disconnected from my body.
Yeah.
And I realized that your body is your best friend.
That's true.
Your body never lies.
Yes.
Your body always supports you. And when there is discomfort, pain, especially chronic pain or pain that's going to move around, all of that is signal clues to let you know that whatever situation is happening is not quite aligned with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a very long time, I pushed myself and I thought, like I needed to do more, which was not true. Actually, I needed to do less. I'm a very sensitive person, and I'm very sensitive to many things, like emotionally, but also noises and like the intensity in work. It doesn't mean that I cannot work intensively.
Yeah.
But I need to watch myself. I need to be, okay, I'm doing that, but maybe I can have like a little self-care. Yes. And tonight I would have like a beautiful bath with like beautiful oil, and I would regenerate myself.
Yes.
And so bringing the nurturing
yes.
to ourselves, it's very, very sacred for me.
I love that. So going on the other end of the spectrum, from a time capsule perspective, what would you like your 90-year-old self to thank you for?
Oh, wow. I get a lot of emotion from that. Because in what I do, because like it's always a stretching process.
Yes.
And we have this linear perspective to be, oh, well, I'm going to do that. And after I will feel better, I will be happier, I will be, like all those very mental way to see life.
Mm-hmm.
So each time, it's kind of like difficult for me to do something, I'm thinking about my future self.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about who does this future self gonna be?
Okay.
And it's always difficult from my present perspective, but when I think about the Fleur, like in 10 years or 20 years, I'm getting like an immense courage to challenge myself. Okay. So I would love to arrive at the end of my life and be proud of myself and be like, okay, I hope I did right by you. So
you would like your 90-year-old self to thank you for the courage, for expanding yourself and for carrying yourself through in a way that, as you said, honors you and your spirit.
Absolutely.
Absolutely love this too. So, okay, where you're on a stage and you're talking to tens of thousands of women, And the topic is along the lines of being empowered to grow.
Yes.
What would be the lasting message you leave them with?
Like what I realize, the more I grow, the more I see that we're living in a very, masculine world, but it has many, many layers.
Mm-hmm.
And even in what, like what I've learned, from my background and, my family and, the loved one that raised me, right? Like they transmit this perspective about conform, perform.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, like there is a lot of competition in this world.
Yes.
Which I think is not a bad thing, but we need balance.
Exactly. Because it can help us flourish.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And it's always good to push ourselves. And I could say that I have a competition with myself,
That's true.
like, oh, can I do that? But something that I would bring, it's like the feeling of community.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like as women, it's in our, I want to say our flesh to have the support of a community, especially a community of women.
Yeah.
And so what I see like right now, we're talking about the rising of the feminine.
Yes.
And it's beyond women, like it's like this feminine archetype that men and women have inside of them.
Yes.
This part of themselves that is more nurturing, that is more actually tuned to what's happened inside. And what we want to create in this world. And so I really feel, that actually, community and lift each other up is, like we've been like deprived of that.
Yes.
And so we need to reintroduce that. And it's so important for ourselves as a woman.
And I think it's about not only nurturing that kind of environment where we come together, but more importantly, and I talk about this as often as I can, is that we complement each other rather than compete with one another. And I think that is possibly the mindset switch that would help us to literally lift each other up, but more importantly, what's the word I'm looking for? Not capitalize, but leverage of each other's powers and capabilities in that sense. So I love, I've got my group, and I told you about it, Empowered to Grow. And I say that it's growing as a tribe of empowered and empowering women. So it's not like one is empowered and everyone's left behind. And as you said, it is a work in progress. We are never fully empowered. We grow every day, we evolve. And that is the beautiful process that we all go through. But more importantly, to allow each other to see that there isn't really an end line. There isn't a goal that we're reaching. It is a work in progress. And if we accept each other and we accept ourselves for that, then a lot of beautiful things could happen for all of us.
Absolutely. And like this competition, it has a certain vibration. It has like a certain taste to it, right? Yes. And I feel like it's like the old paradigm.
Yeah.
That's really something that right now it's shifting. And thank you for technology to be able to link each other and make it easier for us to talk and like support each other. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Fleur. That was amazing and empowering on so many levels. Where can our viewers and listeners find you in virtual space?
Sure. So you can get to know me on my website. So it's vibrantsoul.life. And so I do, like distance practice and support people all over the world.
That's great.
So you can like get to know what I do. And I also introduce circle sound baths where like I get people that, you know, I think circles are very sacred and
Yes.
somehow, you know, like it's like really a way to connect with like you know, I see us in a Stone Age time being around the fire
Yes.
and connect to each other. So
Yes.
it's what we do on a virtual way.
Yes.
And so I connect people with the sound and vibration and the power of it to raise their vibration and be able to tune with themselves. So if it resonates with you, please like connect with me, ask some question. I would love to know more about you guys.
I love that. I love that. Fleur, thank you so much. This has been uplifting on so many levels. Thank you for sharing your energy and thank you for accepting my invitation.
Oh, I loved it. Thank you so much, Hanan. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as always, you know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all. Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. For further engagement with a tribe of empowered women, join my Facebook group, Empowered to Grow, or visit my website, www.hananulbasha.com. I'll catch you on the next episode. And until then, know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.